Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, or if you're in Los Angeles, or good afternoon, good evening, buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, buonasera, ciao. We are so excited to be here for this first ever FIDM X Polimoda virtual event, Hollywood's influence on Italian luxury. Ooh. We are honored to have partnered with Florence-based Polimoda, one of the top fashion schools in the world, for this fabulous talk.
So what are we doing today? We will be discussing Hollywood's influence on Italian luxury. In celebration of the House of Gucci's 100th anniversary, Gucci staged their 2021-2022 fashion show at the nucleus of Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard, right down the center in front of Grauman's Chinese Theater. Models, including some of Hollywood's stars, literally walked on the historic Hollywood Walk of Fame. So we thought it would be appropriate to discuss how we got here.
And where it all began, for sure. And if it's any I would say, a testament of how important the brand made in Italy is still to Hollywood, all you have to do is look at last Sunday's Academy Awards. Made in Italy was in full display. For example, just to name a few, Zendaya, Beyonce, Ariana DeBose, they all wore Valentino. Nicole Kidman, Sanaya Sidney, Benedict Cumberbatch, Giorgio Armani. Javier Bardem, Riz Ahmed, Zegna. Kevin Jonas, he wore Bruno Cucinelli. And then Jessica Chastain, Serena Williams, right? And Billie Eilish, what did they wear?
They all wore Gucci. Cody McPhee and Uma Thurman wore Bottega Veneta. Lupita Nyong'o wore Prada. Emilia Jones wore Dolce & Gabbana. And Ingenue Ellis wore Atelier Versace. So a lot of representation.
And that's just to name a few, because I'm sure there were a lot more. So, dove è iniziato l'amore italiano per Hollywood? And vice versa. Where did it all begin? Let's first begin with introducing ourselves and then our two distinguished guests. David and I are the co-chairs of FIDM Fashion Design, Advanced Study in Fashion Design, as well as Film and TV Costume Design. Besides being the co-chairpersons of the program, we are also designers with our own line of red carpet gowns, Nicolaiki. We've dressed celebrities such as Beyonce, Katy Perry, Carrie Underwood, and Heidi Klum, to name a few. We also have a sportswear line, NV by Nick Verreos, and we are consulting producers for the TV show Project Runway.
Okay, now to our guests.
Our guest, let's start with Massimiliano Giornetti. Massimiliano Giornetti is the director of Polimoda. After a degree in Spanish language and literature, Giornetti attended the fashion design course at Polimoda in Firenze, in Florence. Giornetti's career in the fashion industry started in Rome, where he collaborated with the designer Anton Giulio Grande for the development of the ready-to-wear and haute couture collections. In July 2000, he joined the men's division at Salvatore Ferragamo, becoming creative director in 2004. In January 2010, he began designing the women's ready-to-wear collection. And after a few months, he was appointed creative director for the entire Ferragamo label, becoming the first creative director with the task to coordinate all the categories of product, public relations, events, and merchandising. In 2011, Giornetti presented the first Salvatore Ferragamo women's resort collection with a show held in New York. Leonardo da Vinci's ultimate masterpiece exhibition at the Louvre. To mark the occasion, Giornetti presented the Salvatore Ferragamo Women's Resort 2013 collection in the Denon wing of the Louvre, marking the first time that that museum had opened its historic internal spaces for a fashion show. In October 2013, at the opening night of Wallace Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts in Beverly Hills, Giornetti designed the first haute couture collection for the brand. From 2017 to 2019, Giornetti collaborated on the rebirth of the iconic Chinese luxury brand Shanghai Tang, redefining the aesthetic and values of the house. In 2019, Giornetti joined Polimoda as the head of the design department, and in 2021, he was appointed director of Polimoda. Let's welcome Massimiliano. Thank you. All right. We'll get to you.
Thank you very
Massimiliano.
much. Thank you very much, Nick and David, for the beautiful presentation, but mainly thank you very much for giving us the chance to create this beautiful, amazing bridge between United States, Hollywood, Los Angeles, and of course, Italy and today, Florence. Thank you really very much.
Grazie. All right, now let's talk about
Grazie.
Aurora Fiorentini.
Yes.
All right, Aurora Fiorentini is a scholar of art, fashion, and applied arts, fashion curator and historian, brand heritage expert, critic, and fashion writer. Ms. Fiorentini was the project manager in charge of creating the historical Gucci archive and the Gucci Museum for Guccio Gucci SPA from 1996 through 2001 in Firenze, in Florence, Italia. She then was the art and fashion consultant for Hugo Boss Industries, LDT, between 2005 and 2007. After this project, she consulted on art and fashion for Fendi SPA and Confindustria in 2008 and 2009. Currently, she performs a broad range of consulting activities for various international fashion companies, Dior, Valentino, Gucci, just to name a few, just little brands, Aurora, doing research on their history and stylistic evolution to redevelop the creative landscape of both their collections and corporate identity. Ms. Fiorentini was also consultant to cultural institutions such as the Museo della Moda e del Costume at Palazzo Pitti in Firenze, in Florence, 1987 through 2016, and the Museo del Tessuto in Prato, 2004 till now. And I apologize for any mispronouncing, so I'm so sorry. She was the co-curator for many exhibits on costume and fashion at important Italian museums, the Louvre in Paris, 1993 and 2010, and the Solomon R. Guggenheim in New York in 1994. As an author, Ms. Fiorentini has produced nonfiction and monographs for international publishers on the subjects of art, costume, and fashion, textiles, and costume jewelry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Aurora Fiorentini. Ciao, Aurora.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this beautiful presentation. I'm very happy to stay here tonight. For us is night. And to speak about this wonderful relationship in between fashion and cinema. Thank you very much.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's begin. I would say first, we are happy to take any questions, yes, and we will answer the questions. And if you could put them in the Q&A. So put your questions in the Q&A. Feel free to chat amongst each other in the chat. But if you could put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can.
And if you do the questions in Italian, we have very, very capable translators in Massimiliano and Aurora to help us with that, right?
I confirm.
Grazie.
Okay, so let's begin. So Massimiliano, how did it all start? You know, I know that Salvatore Ferragamo was one of the first Italian designers during the 1920s who realized the importance of Hollywood and the public relations marketing potential of the Hollywood silent film stars, like Rudolph Valentino, Gloria Swanson, Clara Bow. How do you see that all starting?
I personally believe that fashion, as well as cinema, is a very personal representation of the personality, the charisma, the attitude of a person. I really feel there are similarities. Fashion itself is a representation of a dream. In the moment in which you design a collection and you put in a catwalk, is really like a movie. You have to select the best actors, you have to select the best music, you need to work on the setup, the location, the colors, and of course also the lights. So the similarities and the influence has been very strong from the very beginning. Me working for Salvatore Ferragamo for almost 17 years, I've been really like reading the attitude of Salvatore Ferragamo, understanding that from a small city in the south of Italy, Bonito, he was really making this idea happening, the dream. It's really a dream. Fashion is a dream, and the movies are dreams. So it was like understanding that the booming of the moving industry in America, in Los Angeles, could have been the possibility for him to bring out the ideas, the creativities, and also to translate his passion for life, his Italianity, the sense of the colors, his intuition for shapes and also materials, in exploiting through, of course, the emerging moving industry. So Salvatore had this idea of moving from Bonito and going to New York first. He was not happy with New York. He was dreaming something that was more probably bold in his life, and he moved to Santa Barbara. And in Santa Barbara, he started his collaboration with Hollywood. First of all, simple, humble work, as most of the times the big geniuses are starting, from a smaller position. And from that, creating a really incredible relationship with the Hollywood stars and the celebrities, starting, of course, with Rudolph Valentine, then moving to Greta Garbo, and to most of the images that are looking now on the screen. I really believe that the intuition of Salvatore was the ability to use the dream, Hollywood, the movie industry, and then from that to understanding how much even nowadays, and especially nowadays, celebrities are becoming the ambassador for the brand. So when he was suffering of production, he decided to go back to come back to Italy, and the Florence was again a representation of the dream. Beautiful city, rich of art, rich of architecture, but as well rich of manufacturing. The artisanal manufacturing that was very essential, very important in exploiting the creativity of Salvatore from one side, but also bringing the luxury inside the world of Salvatore Ferragamo. Another brilliant intuition of Salvatore was that to welcome the Hollywood celebrities in Florence, he needed a beautiful palace. What is still nowadays the headquarters of Salvatore Ferragamo, Palazzo Spini-Ferroni. And of course, you can imagine at the time, the relationship from Italy to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles back to Italy into the world, that was really the representation of a dream. A visionary, as I like to call Salvatore Ferragamo, a man of a strong passion, and we can see the passion of Salvatore Ferragamo in the use, of course, of the colors, in the ability in creating incredible, still nowadays, shapes that have been influencing most of the celebrated fashion designers of the contemporary. And I really believe that this dialogue between of course, Italy and Hollywood has been also vice versa, the possibility to be inspired again by the dream, the beautiful movies, the celebrities. Everybody was like trying to fit and to feel the importance of the beauty from one side, but also the elegance from the other side. It's really incredible to see still nowadays the grace of Audrey Hepburn, and I really remember most of the stories that Wanda Ferragamo was telling me during my creative direction in Ferragamo, the intimate relationship there's between the celebrity and, of course, the creator. I've been, as creative director of Salvatore Ferragamo, experiencing the same attitude when I've been dressing up many and super important celebrities from Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt during the wedding in the south of France. It's really an intimate relationship, and Salvatore really had this intuition in establishing a bridge that is, of course, first of all, a cultural bridge between this idea of a lifestyle, the passion of living a life that's about beauty, but also enjoying. And I really believe that's very evident from the creation of Salvatore Ferragamo, the use of the colors, and also this attitude between the elegance from one side, but also from the other side, the spirit of bringing the Italianity in the world. I really believe that that's the passion. We have been looking into many beautiful images between Marilyn Monroe, this stiletto, the shape, the sensuality that, of course, are still nowadays talking about. And this is a dialogue of beauty, a dialogue of glamour. Still nowadays, as creative director, I'm very much influenced by movies because, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, everything is about a dream. Luxury is about a dream. We don't need to buy, but we need for making our simple daily life becoming more beautiful. It's a kind of daily rituals. It was in the past and see nowadays. It's a ritual about making our life, our passion for the beauty, becoming, of course, the signature of the representation of ourselves.
That's great.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I love what you said. You said the other day, and you just basically touched on it here. You know, we don't need to buy, we need to dream.
We're gonna steal, Massimiliano, we're stealing that, you know, because it's so true. And we wanted somebody to just put it in a quick, sexy sentence, and you did it. You did it.
It's absolutely this aspect about fashion. For many years, people have been thinking, connecting the idea of fashion with being very superficial, very much ego-referred. But there are no cultures in which the idea of adorning the body is not becoming the most intimate representation of the inner personality. And I still believe that fashion is really about that. Selecting the best outfit to represent yourself. Salvatore Ferragamo had this intuition. As you can see from the picture, the invisible sandal, the rainbow wedge, rather than, of course, the F wedge, is really about making a statement. As I said before, we don't buy because we need. There's anybody here in needs for buying another outfit, another accessory, another bag, or another shoe. But we buy because, of course, we want to belong to a subculture. We want to represent the best ourselves. And I really believe that as was in the past, when Salvatore had this intuition, I think that still nowadays, when I'm looking into the beautiful pictures of Salvatore Ferragamo, it's coming in my mind, Palazzo Spiniferroni, when I was going into my office, and all the passage from the elevator into my office was really about pictures of the celebrities that made Salvatore Ferragamo so much famous in the world. But from the other side, I really and also believe that Salvatore Ferragamo was as well promoting the cinema, the Hollywood stars in Italy. I really believe that this is a dialogue. As I said at the beginning, it's a bridge between Italy and Hollywood. And of course, from Hollywood, again, still nowadays, as creative director, this sense of imagination to make the dream still alive.
Yeah, and that's really as fast sometimes as we think fashion moves from season to season. What you're saying is really timeless statements, you know, the timelessness of the dream and the timelessness of connecting cinema with clothing. And that's really fascinating for people to think about, you know, because oftentimes, you know, we think that fashion will move and move and move and need to, but it's really about creating a dream.
Well, we're showing here that you know, here we are, 2022, the Academy Awards, the Oscars, all those Italian brands. But look, there's Salvatore Ferragamo in 1920s, you know, doing this. To me, it's incredible, Massimiliano, Aurora, to think of the, like you said, the visionary mind of somebody like him to think, I'm going to get on a boat in 1920s and leave? I mean, leave, because I don't think he got on a plane, perhaps, at that time.
But also the stories that Lady Wanda Ferragamo was really like always telling me about Salvatore. He was a pioneer, he was a visionary, but also he was extremely bold. He didn't really have the money to travel from Naples to Italy, but the intuition, the great desire to become somebody, and of course, again, the vision, the ambition was bringing Salvatore from a very small village in the south of Italy, Bonito, to Hollywood, and from Hollywood to the world. What is really beautiful is that sometimes when I think about the story of Salvatore Ferragamo, it's a kind of fairy tale rich of imagination, intuition, ambition, but also as well as sacrifice. Because when we are thinking about fashion, we only see the beautiful side, no? But there's a lot of work behind. If you want to achieve a result, if you want to achieve a goal in life, in every field, but in fashion as well, you have to bring the creativity from one side, but also the ability to make a business. And Salvatore really had this intuition from a very small village to the grandeur of Hollywood, and then back to Firenze. Firenze has been a city that Salvatore Ferragamo selected, was not his city. He selected because when he was traveling back from the United States, he found in Firenze, of course, the expression of the art, the symbol of the Renaissance, the beauty of the architecture, and also the importance of the colors, the balance of the past. But mainly he found in Florence an artisanal tradition that it was also a propellant. It was an incredible push in making what you can see on the picture, because the story of Salvatore Ferragamo has been bold from the beginning, from the Marani wedge, from the most simple shoe that he created for Greta Garbo, that she came to Florence to visit Salvatore Ferragamo because she wanted a shoe to walk in. She didn't really want to have like impressive shoe. She wanted to have a shoe that she said, I want something I can walk. And I dedicated an exhibition in Milano years ago to, of course, Greta Garbo, to a strong personality, wearing sometimes men's tailored jacket and pants, with, of course, the attitude that was coming from the beautiful wedges of Salvatore Ferragamo. But still looking into the picture of this brevetto, this patent that Salvatore Ferragamo has been recorded in the 30s, how bold he was in creating something that was aesthetically strong, but also he had this incredible intuition that for me is fundamental in the moment in which we design, to study anatomy of the feet. Because what was important for Salvatore Ferragamo was designing, making people walking like a star, but also aesthetic. So function and aesthetic, it's an incredible dialogue. It's not so easy, and it's also not so common thinking about designers. They approach the idea of functionality, but always link to the idea of a perfect aesthetic balance. I really believe that Salvatore was incredible in many aspects of his creativity, but also simply the intuition that being back from Los Angeles, from the United States, he had to create an ambience, talking about Italianity, glamour, elegance, Palazzo Spiniferroni, that was becoming naturally the ambassador of the world of Salvatore Ferragamo. This is all communication, marketing communication. But if you referred to to the 40s, the 50s, it was, of course, a pioneer in that. I still found nowadays the sensuality of the curves of this wedge incredible. It's still extremely modern, the creativity of Salvatore.
Exactly.
Anything you want to add, Aurora, to all the bouquets to Ferragamo?
No, because I agree perfectly the Massimiliano overview, because one of the more strong elements of the historical Italian brand is this, is the capacity to decline in the same way the technological aspect, the function, and the aesthetic. And so starting to the Leonardo da Vinci approach, because Leonardo da Vinci was a scientist, but also an artist. Mm-hmm. And this is in the DNA, especially of the Tuscany workmanship.
Yeah.
You know, Aurora, that Leonardo da Vinci was the greatest passion of Salvatore and Wanda. But I totally agree with you that I really see a lot of similarities because Leonardo was always making creations, thinking about a functionality. It's beautiful when you see the sketches of Leonardo da Vinci and you see how much he was studying anatomy. And again, Salvatore Ferragamo was studying anatomy of the feet because the biggest complaint that he was finding out in Hollywood and in the Hollywood industry was that the celebrities were always complaining about the shoes. And that is how Salvatore became famous. Because he was able to make shoes beautiful but comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Exactly.
Do you in all your research on Salvatore Ferragamo, Massimiliano, or Aurora, did Salvatore Ferragamo have a secret desire to be in movies himself, or that was a dream? Like it almost. I understand his. I mean, I think he's a marketing genius, and that he foresaw to get out of the provinces to go into the city and to get to Hollywood and all that. But is there anything in that where you found that maybe he had a secret passion to be himself in the movies? I don't know. Is anything?
I only know one aspect of movies, but mainly about Salvatore Ferragamo. Madame Wanda Ferragamo, she really didn't want, even though many super famous film director came to Florence to understand better about Salvatore Ferragamo stories and then translating that into a movie. She never wanted to do that until she was alive. In fact, the story of Salvatore Ferragamo, the movie directed by Guadagnino, really happened only when Wanda died, because she was a superstitious, and Salvatore Ferragamo ended the autobiography, Il calzolaio dei sogni, and really very soon after ending the autobiography, he died. So she was too superstitious and said no, not to very many super famous movie director that came to Palazzo Spiniferroni to meet with Wanda Ferragamo.
All right, Aurora, let's talk about Hollywood. Let's talk about Hollywood on the Tiber and the collaboration between American cinema and Cinecittà in Rome after World War II, La Dolce Vita, the famous wedding that we're looking at right now, all the divas that were dressed. Please give us some history, because we got the provenance and the visionaire, pioneer of Salvatore Ferragamo. Then tell us, where did it go next?
See, the first forerunner was Salvatore Ferragamo, of course, who arrived very early in Los Angeles. But also the system, the fashion system, was helped by the American Recovery Plan launch in 1947 and ended in 1951. And Italy in particular had a rich budget almost $594 million starting to 1948 to relaunch the economy and the business. And so it was a big help. Without this Marshall Plan was impossible, probably was more long, the rebirth of the Italian style. But anyway, the first stage, the first palcoscenico was Rome, of course, because one of the first Italian atelier to be famous after the World War II were the Sister Fontana.
Yes,
And
yes.
and the Sister Fontana, I am very proud to meet and to be close to Nicole, the last one, because
wow.
I start to work with her at the beginning of my career when I was very young. And I remember he explained how he founded with two sisters, Zoe and Giovanna, the atelier in Rome in 1943. So few years before the Marshall Plan. But the 1949 was considered the annus mirabilis for the Italian fashion. Because there was this wonderful wedding. The Tyrone Power and Linda Christian wedding was considered the second marriage of the century. After,
Yes.
After that, the Queen Elizabeth of England, the second, no?
Wow.
Celebrate on November of 1947. But the wedding dress created by the Sister Fontana for Linda Christian probably was more expensive than the Queen, almost 2 meters of train more than the Queen Elizabeth II.
Wow.
And the wedding was celebrated in a very important and stunning and historical place in Rome, the Church of Santa Francesca Romana, at the Roman Forum, and remain the most famous wedding for its richness and for the workmanship. In fact, the dress was inspired by the Italian Renaissance and especially inspired by the 15th and 16th century Italian painting, both in its cut, in its hairstyle. Was made in pearl white pure silk damask with the incrustation of Chantilly lace embroidered with pearls and small Venetian crystals. And 7 meters long train completes the garment. With this veil, also the bonnet, the hairdo was inspired to the Italian Renaissance. and the bride worn a silk satin muff decorated with small fresh orchids. So it was incredible. And this photo, we can see the three Sister Fontana arranged the last fitting before the marriage. But also, but also Tyrone Power. No one speak about the Italian men's fashion, but was launched in the same moment because Domenico Caraceni was the famous Roman tailor. Taylor, thank you, who worn the big charming actor. And so also the Domenico, Augusto and Galliano were three brothers, Caraceni, were launched and became the personal tailors of Gary Cooper, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Cary Grant. So all the American actors select Caraceni, and after Brioni. And this is Roman Holiday, who was another important movie to promote the landscape and the atmosphere, the magic atmosphere of Rome. The Eternal City has been a favorite film set for the American production since the end of the 40s. And Time magazine coined this definition in 1950, the Hollywood on Tiber. This was a Time magazine invention, the slogan.
But it's still a dream. Look into the picture, the beauty and the grace, the dream about Hollywood from a side, but also Rome from the other side. It's still nowadays, I really feel a picture of grace and elegance.
Exactly. And there will be a particular phenomenon starting with the royal wedding and with the cinema on Tiber, but especially with Vacanze Romane and the Barefoot Contessa, of course. There was a particular phenomenon of identification between fashion, cinema, and this city, the capital, that will be perceived as wearing the city is like a Rome embodiment. And so there is the sovrapposition in between the imaging of the best Italian town, fashion and art. And so there is a wonderful and explosive cocktail for the launch of the Italian way of life.
So already in late 1940s and 50s, would you say that Rome was becoming known as a high style city, and a city, if you were there, it was you were alta moda?
Exactly, because the first in reality was Myrna Loy, the actress Myrna Loy, that in 1948, if I remember well, asked to the Sister Fontana the complete wardrobe for a very unknown movie, because was realized in 1949. If This Be Seen is the title. The director was Gregory Ratoff, shot totally in Capri, and so also Capri start to be appreciated by the American wealthy people.
Yes.
And in fact, from this moment on, the Italian atelier, especially the Fontana, but also Fernanda Gantinoni or Schubert and the other based in Rome,
right,
were focused on American market. During this year, Nicole Fontana was one of the Italian ambassador in USA, especially in Los Angeles, and realized a lot of a long series of trips to the States to promote the Italian fashion. And after, there are a lot of very important movie. Before the Dolce Vita, there was Hollywood on Tiber, so-called because there was Cinecittà, this Italian town of cinema, where the American producer decided to realize movies in these studios, and start with the big American historical colossal. For example, Quo Vadis, directed by Mervyn Leroy, was a historical movie of the 1951. And with Robert Taylor, Deborah Kerr, and Peter Ustinov, the big Peter Ustinov. And after Ben-Hur, realized by William Wyler in 1959 with Charlton Heston, who won 11 Oscar Prize, completely rebuilt in Cinecittà. So
Wow.
the old Rome was completely rebuilt in this Roman city of cinema. And after Cleopatra,
Yeah,
guys,
Cleopatra, I was gonna say Cleopatra. That was
Cleopatra. Exactly, because Cleopatra is very linked with Alessandro Michele Last Runway, because the golden evening gown presented by Gucci in the spring-summer collection of 2022 is a quote to the Joseph Mankiewicz movie with Liz Taylor and Richard Barton, because in this movie, probably one of the more expensive, never realized for the budget of the main actress, who won, I think, more than 65 different costumes and outfits, where there was also the more expensive one realized in pure gold, in a plissé, in a gold lame, 24 carats. And the budget for Liz Taylor only only was $200,000. And so was a Guinness at the time, because was the largest amount of money spent for a single actor. But till now, I think, till now.
Wow.
And after arrive Florence also, because I suggested, I love Irene Brin. Irene Brin is a very important Italian journalist who wrote a very important article in 1952, who speak about Hollywood on Tiber, of course, but all the main Italian town promoted by the American tourism and cinema. So especially the American producer, and out especially Rome, but also Florence, because also Florence was admired for the Italian Renaissance. And so, of course, there was also this setting realized. This movie, for example, is Light in the Piazza, is Luci nella Piazza, is a romantic comedy realized in Florence in 1962, with a lot of super big American actors like Olivia de Havilland or George Hamilton, all together with Rossano Brazzi, who was an Italian handsome actor, considered a sex Italian symbol, who lived in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and was based about the trip of an American family in Florence, in Italy. And of course, there is also a love affair with an Italian man, of course, no? And so this, because is fundamental. And also the love affair, Italian love affair. And after the another American movie who promotes Florence was September Affair by William Dieterle, realized in 1950 with Joseph Cotton and John Fontaine. So Olivia de Havilland and John Fontaine were sister, now, you know. So both engage for Italian movies in that period. And where a pair of lovers declare themselves the love in this town. And so there is a promotion also here. Look, this is Piazzale Michelangelo, is a beautiful terrace on view on the town. And after arrived Federico Fellini, guys, because La Dolce Vita, who was a slogan, no? After the movie, the Fellino movie, everything became connected with the Dolce Vita. Do you imagine also Christian Dior, so competitors of the Italian fashion, call a fragrance, a perfume, La Dolce Vita. So also Dior was influenced by the Italian Dolce Vita. And in this Dolce Vita, there was the collaboration of Sisters Fontana in the famous evening gown in the Trevi Fountain worn by Anita Egbert.
Where she jumps into the Trevi Fountain, right, in that gown. Yeah.
Marcello, come here. It's fantastic, these quotes. And you know, in the La Dolce Vita, there are a mix in between Italian actor, like Marcello Mastroianni, of course, is fantastic, and big American Los Angeles Hollywood actors, like Anita Egbert and Lex Barker, who was a famous Tarzan in Hollywood, you know, a handsome man who play the roles of American protagonist in the Fellini movie. And so the Dolce Vita was a big success, a worldwide box office success. And inside there is also the Oscar Prize for Best Costume, Piero Gherardi, Italian one, who won for the Dolce Vita, and look at the Pretino suit, because Pietro Gherardi copied a model of the Sister Fontana, realized before by the Sister Fontana for Ava Gardner, and after copied by Piero Gherardi for this Vatican set, worn by Anita Egbert, with these strange hats. Is a come si chiama a Pritz hats with the piping in red and red button on the black ground, and so was considered also blasphemic at the time. Was censored one part of this movie because was so strong for the Catholic public to warn the sexiness of Anita Egbert, you know, like a seminarians of the Roman Gregorian College, and so was anyway. But this was an incredible melting pot in between American professionalism and Italian glamour.
Yes, for sure, for sure. I love the history. I love all that. Now I know you started talking about Gucci, so I think it's a perfect segue. Let's just talk about the communication of the historic Florentine brand Gucci today, and how it's obviously deeply linked. You touched on that, deeply linked to films, Gucci and Hollywood cinema, a consolidated love affair. You know, like you said, from Alessandro Michele's Alien Cleopatra. I didn't even realize really the connection until you said it, Aurora, where like, well, of course he was paying homage to Cinecittà and Elizabeth Taylor, and it's like, hello. It's like, I get it now. Thank you, Aurora. So let's talk about one of our favorite brands. As Massimiliano said, we don't need any more Gucci shoes, but oh boy, do we keep buying more and more and more Gucci shoes, Massimiliano, because we just, that brand, that company just wants to make us dream over and over again.
I totally agree. It's really representation of the fashion. To me is the most contemporary form of art, because it's a real representation of the society. That is what I really feel incredible about fashion, is the power to attract people. It's also the power to create subcultures. Now we live in a society that's mainly a copy after the other, but fashion has the power to bring out your inner personality, to better express yourself. So as we said many times during this conversation, I don't really believe that we need to buy anything, even in a moment in which fashion is always under the spotlight, because of course we need to be more sustainable, we need to be more transparent, but from the other side, the intimacy that's between the representation of the inner yourself, the ability to create every day a different style, every day a different personality, again, that's cinema. We all live in a kind of a cinematographic stage every day. And every day we create and recreate another character. We create another aspect of ourselves, another shade. So when you have been like mentioning another Gucci shoe, because of course the other Gucci shoe is bringing another shade of ourselves. It's really a representation. And sometimes when as creative director, I'm thinking about the power that fashion has in this moment. I really believe that we have been extremely clever in understanding that from the movies, from cinema, nowadays through, of course, the social medias, we have the possibility to bring out messages to other people. Aurora was extremely clever in before underlining sometimes, as in many movies, we have symbols that, of course, people can connect and reconnect. And nowadays, through images that we put on Instagram, rather than, of course, every different shades that we are putting on our daily stage in the real life, we are sending out messages of generosity, the possibility to connect people, to support people. We are now talking about the glamour side of fashion, this incredible and also long-lasting relationship between Hollywood and Italy, and how much we have been after fight by Hollywood. We haven't been mentioning the fact that, of course, all the Italian designers, but I would also say all the designers in the world have been inspired by Hollywood. If I think about how much the imagination of the movie directors have been opening the imagination of the most famous fashion designers in the world, you really understand how much this bridge has been exchanging culture, values, aesthetic, but also human values. That for me is extremely important, especially in this moment.
See, one thing in common in between Salvatore Ferragamo and Gucci is the personal relationship with the client. Mm-hmm. Just the Sister Fontana have a relationship one-to-one with the actress. Mm-hmm. So it's not the team who organize the wardrobe of the Ingrid Bergman or Ava Gardner. Is Nicole Fontana directly who speak with the actress, who understand the necessity of the actress, like Gucci and like also Ferragamo, Salvatore Ferragamo, with, for example, Marilyn Monroe or Audrey Hepburn. And
but it's always a personal relationship, Aurora, always. You have to establish a code, a dialogue between, of course, the people, brand. Exactly. That's fundamental. It's really fundamental. I've been giving you examples of a relationship between the people I've been dressing in the private life. I've been working with Angelina and Brad for the wedding for months. And of course, they've been trusting on me. So when we've been talking about the relationship, it's really a relationship.
Exactly. Exactly. And of course, the Gucci storytelling start, of course, in 1921 in different way that Ferragamo before launch, promote his brand in USA and after come back in Italy. Gucci remain obsessed by this town, by Florence, was very Florence based, and he said often to the to the sun, stay small to remain great. This was the slogan for the real luxury, because for Gucci was very important the quality and not the quantity. And also for him and for the Gucci family, the relationship with the actress who arrived before in Florence and after in the Rome shop, because the first shop in Florence was open in 1921, and the first shop in Rome was open in 1938. It was Aldo Gucci, the oldest in between the three Gucci son who fight with the father to open in Rome the flagship store, and was a very strong vision, because after the World War II with the Marshall Plan, Rome became Hollywood on Tiber, and so Gucci just had the flagship store in Via Condotti starting to the 30s. And in this photo, I found this by a Italian paparazzo, and so also paparazzo in fact is a neologism who was born in La Dolce Vita, no? Because the assistant of Marcello Mastroianni in the film, the family name is Paparazzi, and so starting to this was realized this new word to indicate the street photography.
I did a replica of this picture during an advertising campaign shot in Rome as well with Ferragamo and Mario Testino, and Claudia Schiffer as a super top model for that advertising campaign. Really, the intent of Mario Testino was recreating the ambience and the mood of Italy, Rome, Firenze, and Venice at the time, in which, of course, the dialogue, the relationship between Hollywood and Italy was bringing the most famous celebrities at the time, the people that were looking into the big screen in the cinema, dreaming about. And they finally had the chance to meet with them in the street, and we did exactly the same idea of this picture with Claudia Schiffer coming out from the the store of Salvatore Ferragamo in Via Condotti in Rome, in which again Mario Testino wanted to recreate this incredible popularity of fashion and the dialogue with Hollywood.
Tell everybody who is this lovely young woman coming out of the Gucci store, Aurora? Why is the paparazzi going crazy for this person?
Exactly. This is Taccio Secchiaroli, the paparazzo, who was a very famous, the first one, the more famous Italian paparazzo of the 50s and the 60s. And I remember when I started to build the Gucci archive, I found this photo who show the young Grace Kelly.
Ah, beautiful.
But at that time, I underline, she isn't the Princess of Monaco, because she met the prince in 1956. This photo was realized in 1951-52 in Rome. Before, exactly. She was beloved because was an Hollywood actress, was the Alfred Hitchcock actress, was the High Noon young
she was what did they say, the ice queen, you know?
Exactly.
She was incredible, beautiful.
Yes, right.
Nowadays, when we create mood boards, the young Grace Kelly is the image of perfection, with the sense of elegance and the balance between, from one side, glamour, but from the other side, the sense of elegance and very natural beauty.
Ecco, the other photo, please, with Ava Gardner is very cute. I want, this is Ingrid Bergman, of course, another icy blonde who come from Sweden, but after married a Italian director, Roberto Rossellini, ecco, who utilized a Gucci bag and after switch in Hollywood with Alfred Hitchcock for beautiful thriller like Notorious. And this is my favorite one because this movie is called Mogambo.
Oh.
Is a John Ford movie realized at the beginning of the 50s, if I remember well, 1953, who saw the perfect triangle. The man, the handsome man, fighted by the two typology of beauty, the icy blonde and the hot brunette.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, this Hollywood movie, helped a lot Gucci because the Gucci was in a big crisis in 1953 because he launched the first unisex loafer of the history of the with the Gucci Heartbeat loafer, and was a international failure. No one bought this because we're too much masculine for women and too much feminine for men. And so was a real disaster. And was Ava Gardner who saved the budget and who
by
saved,
wearing them, yes.
Yeah, exactly, because probably she wear the private pair of Gucci loafer bought in New York, because at that time Gucci didn't have a flagship store in Los Angeles, but only the New York shop. But she wore the Gucci original Gucci loafers, and so the people, especially the women, feel the sexiness of Ava Gardner also with flat shoe, because at that time the women utilize only stiletto heels shoes, very feminine, like the Salvatore Ferragamo or the Roger Vivier shoes, but not so flat. But the sexiness of Ava Gardner was like a Vulcan.
But
and
it's incredible that the success of Gucci, the most iconic element product, the hero product of Gucci, was at the beginning an international failure. It's incredible, yeah. No? That nowadays the most iconic representation of the brand, the Gucci, is the horsebeat loafer.
Right, it's that loafer. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I love that the film is Mogambo. I think technically it's supposed to be in Africa, in the jungles of Africa. Yet there's Ava Gardner wearing Gucci loafers in Nairobi, right?
But I always say to my assistant and also to the CEO of the brand I design for, that a fashion is not about being comfortable, it's about glamorous and beautiful. So you can wear your horsebeat loafers in the jungle. No.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. What do you know who was the man who launched, who turned the unsuccess in a success of the men Gucci loafers? Because Ava Gardner helped open the street of the success for the women's wear, but for the men was considered too much. These big golden jewels, this bracelet, part of bracelet on top. So the men in the 50s were super traditional, and so didn't upset this innovation. Was Fred Astaire.
Of course.
Yeah. Was Fred Astaire who decided to dance with the Gucci loafer in Funny Face, the musical with Audrey Hepburn, directed by Stanley Donen.
We're gonna take a test at the end, participants. We're gonna give you a quiz, so you better remember everything that Aurora and Massimiliano are saying.
She's incredible. We can send Aurora to an international contest. She's the queen.
Guys, I study my one life these things, and so
I really can say that's the reality. Aurora is always spending a lot of the time in the incredible library of Polimoda. We have one of the most impressive fashion libraries in the world, and Aurora is really, every time that she's not having classes with the Polimoda students, spending so much time in the library. So that's for sure.
So in the library, the time don't pass. You remain young, guys. This is my secret.
I love that. I remember at the library here at FIDM, when I was a student back in the dinosaur days, I would spend nights, hours, long hours, looking through all the old 1930s, 1940s, Harper's Bazaar, the Vogue. I found the new 1947 when the new look came out, and it's the volumes, and they smell like cigarettes, and they smell like 1940. And I would just draw, not on those. I would draw, I would have sketch pads, and I would just, like, so wow, the days before Instagram, like, so I understand that, for sure, the love of library.
I spoke every day with my student. I say the computer don't have sound and don't have fragrance, perfume. The books sound, because when you turn the page, there is a music, and after the smell of the paper is fantastic. Right. So it's better books.
Yes,
beautiful. So tell us, here's Elizabeth Taylor. And
Elizabeth Taylor was a very close friend of the Gucci brand, and also extravagant, because this is a very rare model of Gucci. I found only few typology of this bag because it's very rare.
Wow.
This is a beautiful scene is off camera of the movie Cat on the Hot Tin Roof, a Richard Brooks movie on the wonderful Tennessee Williams theatrical drama. And so it's beautiful. I love this movie. I can act this movie because it's all in my memory. And Liz Taylor in this moment was 1958, acquired this special bamboo handle Gucci bag, realized with a special material, a cheap and is a 30s material relaunched by the brand, was a autarkic material during the fascism period, is a hand-painted canvas.
Wow.
And so only the flap is in leather. And this is Mel Brooks, guys, is a fantastic movie.
One of my favorite films, Blazing Saddles. This was so campy, so fabulous, and even as a little gay boy, I completely, like, it spoke to me. It spoke to me. And then when I saw the Gucci and all the look, I said, oh, Mel Brooks, I love you.
But to me, I will just say, when I first saw this image, and it looks like Alessandro Michele did this photo shoot.
Right.
It's amazing how the past and the present.
This looks like that commercial with what's his name, and Elton John.
Yes.
Little Nas X.
Yeah.
Little Nas X, Elton John, Gucci.
Exactly. And Alessandro Michele bring inspiration by this lettering because was abandoned for a long time, this italic font of Gucci label. And so was relaunched by Alessandro Michele in the last collection. And so Blazing Saddle was an incredible movie with the web in blue and red is fantastic on the blue saddle, super glamour. And this is a masterpiece, two of the main favorite American actors together, Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman, for the masterpiece Kramer versus Kramer. And so fantastic. And also Dustin Hoffman was a Gucci addict, because before guys, it's very important because it's not a sponsorship. The sponsorship start very later in Gucci. So with the Tom Ford and the last period, at that moment, the actor decided to utilize his own Gucci items on the set. So there isn't sponsorship.
Right. He wanted to wear his own Gucci loafers.
Exactly.
For that
and this
scene.
is the value. So the Gucci was very important and was very intersected with the American aesthetic. This is the last one. This is a Frida Giannini period before Alessandro Michele. The Bamboo Confidential was a genial advertising campaign. This is a video, a spot, and was launched online in 16 September of 2013 by Frida Giannini. And the protagonists are two bamboo iconic bag, the bamboo shopper and the Lady Lock. And the setting is like a 1940s noir movie, and bring inspiration by a famous American Hollywood success, LA Confidential, realized in 1997 by Curtis Hanson. Is a noir crime film movie with Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, Kim Basinger, and Kevin Spacey. And the atmosphere of the movie, close with the noir of the 40s, the spy game of the 40s, is very connected with this environment. And the setting is also, quote, also the Savoy Hotel, where Gucci had the brilliant intuition to enter in business with the leather goods, because before to open the Fiorentini brand, you know, he worked for a long time like a lift boy in the Savoy Hotel of London.
And he saw all the rich Euro royals and the American socialites, and he all of a sudden he put two and two together. He's like, they need luggage, and they need really good luggage to keep their Lanvin and their Madame Grey and their, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah,
exactly.
But as you see, the similarities are extremely intense and deep from both the two brands. The intuition from a side, but also the ambition. That's very Italian, I would say, Aurora, as approach to the business that most of the time is made from families. That it was, I personally believe, to be one of the signature of the Italian firms, coming from families, in which, of course, you have a very strong connection with the contest, the local, what we call genius loci, both Salvatore Ferragamo from Florence, Gucci, and then, of course, the intuition to move from a small city, but at the same time, extremely rich of culture, architecture, passion, artisanal tradition, into, of course, reaching the world, but still families with a strong passion for the products, for the production, that I believe is still nowadays the strongest part of the Italian made in Italy, still the essence of the Italian production.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
All right, we have a little bit of
Massimiliano,
time.
Sorry.
No.
Massimiliano found the focus is, I totally agree with Massimiliano, because the key word is genius loci. Exactly. This is the main important strongness of our brand. So also Gucci was one of the first to be local. So of course, to see to the world, but based on the roots in this town where the workmanship and the tradition of the handmade were super strong and never interrupted by the Middle Age till now.
But also when we think about the bamboo bag, and thinking that the bamboo is like a sound sort of exotic, but in Florence was very common until a few years ago to see people in Piazza Santo Spirito. That's one of the let's say epicenter about Italian heritage and tradition, artisanal tradition. Was very common to see people weaving the wickers or forging the bamboo. Has been extremely connected with the genius loci, with the ability from a side to translate a message, a fashion message, into, of course, a representation of a culture.
Exactly. Also in this, the Gucci point of view is very close to Ferragamo, because the bamboo bag now considered the admiral of the Gucci brand, probably the one of the more famous bag worldwide, because it was produced 4 years ago and never stopped, and also today is a big international success. Was born like a recovery bag, because after the war in 1947, Italy was poor and Florence was destroyed by the bomb. And so while Ferragamo built incredible shoes with simple material like raffia, like cellophane, Gucci decided to utilize the bamboo of the Arno River. And so this is a cheap material, but very strong and flexible and very useful for the handle, because is the negative of the hand when you touch the bamboo is ergonomic. You know what I mean? Because is married the hands in very good way. And so with this strong material to restore, to put a strong material, more efficient, but more resilient, instead the leather, because the leather was too much expensive.
I think, Aurora, that one of the most significant aspects about luxury nowadays is no more connected with the material, is with the ability to transform a material. And in the sense that both Salvatore Ferragamo and Gucci, they have been able to transform very simple, humble materials into expression of a style, becoming really a status symbol. When I think about the idea of the fishing lens of Salvatore Ferragamo looking into the River Arno from the office, and simple material transformed in one of the most iconic shoe of Salvatore Ferragamo, the invisible sandal, is again the ability to transform simple, humble materials like cork, raffia, cellophane, fishing lens, the bamboo from the River Arno, in becoming the expression of an Italian lifestyle, becoming really a symbol of a status more than a status symbol. That for me is really the ability and the magical side of fashion.
And the power of the intuition, because the Italian people often give the best in the shortage moment, in the hard moment, you know, and so bring inspiration by the simple things to realize very strong innovation. In fact, the bamboo bag was the first fashion items, who introduced a material, a very strange material for the fashion world, utilized in the 19th century only for furniture, for interior design, but not for fashion.
Okay,
Like
before we run out of time, because I know we want to at least touch on Armani, because it was so important how then it transitioned to the red carpet. I mean, obviously we've seen the actresses and everybody wearing all these great designers, but Armani changed it in a different way.
Yes, of course. Armani was very known in Europe, but this movie launched Armani in the American market. And how is possible? Don't appear incredible with richer gear, like a model, of course. And so Giorgio Armani debuted in the American cinema with American Gigolo, directed by Paul Schrader in 1980, with the music of Giorgio Moroder, a very incredible soundtrack with Blondie. And so on the Ocean Drive with the Mercedes, and with this incredible neutral wardrobe based on the grège, because you know, Armani, a lot of Italian designer invented new colors, so the Valentino red or the Armani grège, a mix in between the beige and the gray. And so is visible in the morning the American Gigolo, Richard, who selected the t-shirt and the tie and the suit on the bed, and combine the color and the famous trench of Armani also for Lauren Hutton. So this was the first movie who introduced in one entire wardrobe, so clear, signed by an Italian designer. And Giorgio Armani became King George after this movie.
Every man wanted to look like Richard Gere. There was I think Giorgio Armani brought sexiness to a male tailored look, and I think that was new. And to see, look at him, look how sexy and so nonchalant. So like it's just a Tuesday, and he has this gorgeous double-breasted jacket, you know. And I think that every man, and he captured that the era, you know, the late 70s, early 80s, you know, disco adjacent. Yeah, and it's like, of course, when you have that as an ad, that's all you need. That's your advertisement. Yeah,
exactly. The style that's Richard utilized to wear the cashmere beige trench is fantastic, with incredible nonchalance. So it's like to be born with the Armani on. It's incredible. And Giorgio Armani also with Jodie Foster, because it was a big client and close friends of Giorgio Armani, Jodie Foster. And of course, also the Julia Roberts was a Giorgio Armani fan. And this is a different red carpet, I imagine, with Jessica Lange and Jessica Tandy. So two different Jessica, but of different age, but very elegant, because Giorgio Armani in reality is not never vulgar. So the style of Armani could be considered a classical, but is timeless.
Yes, yes.
And a great antidote to, if we remember, I mean, we're old enough to remember the Bride of Frankenstein of Kim Basinger and that Academy Award. Look at Massimiliano. He's like, oh, yes, yes, yes. So, you know, all of a sudden Armani came in here and he almost cleansed the carpet and, you know, took out a lot of the fuss. And you saw silhouette, you saw line, and yeah, it wasn't crazy.
So we are running out of time, but I just want to ask maybe either of you. I mean, I think it's obvious that it will continue the relationship between Hollywood and Italy. Do you see anything on where it's going, or do you see any change in the future, or do you just think it will continue to be this wonderful relationship?
Personally, I really believe that the relationship is very intimate. I think that we will be keep on be inspired by the movies. Images are fundamental for the fashion designers. As well, of course, fashion is very much needed for the movie industries. Nowadays, of course, we are facing enormous social changes. Also, the pandemic has been bringing us a different approach towards fashion, but also towards the entertainment industry. Netflix is becoming, and all the series are becoming more and more influential. If I just think about inventing Anna and how much the power of fashion has been bringing the character of Anna to embrace and also envision a powerful woman, just wearing the right dresses, the right accessories. It's really kind of redefining the sense between fashion and power from one side, but also, again, how much fashion has been influencing and will be influencing cinema, and again, how much the cinema has been influencing us. If I only think about myself as a creative director, I think that most of the collections were coming from movies or, of course, art. I think about some of the movies that even years after have been like reopening for me a channel in creativity. As creative director, I never look into an inspiration. It's mainly a memory, a moment, a feeling that's reopening, you know, a container, a topic. And most of the time are movies. Is Hollywood, is the big screen, is this moment in which the lights are turning down and you start feeling, you know, the movie and becoming part of the movie again. So it's also the reason why sometimes people are making the comparison between reading the novel and the book itself, because when you are reading, you really are jumping inside the main and the leading role in a movie, in a novel. But it's the same experience that I have when I'm in the cinema, in the total the darkness of the cinema. The big screen is really like putting me inside, you know, a feeling. Some of the movies, I think about Tom Ford in Nocturnal Animals. The beginning of the movie, still after many times that I'm watching the movie, is really creating inside me an explosion of memories. It's the power of imagination. So it's really like a long-lasting and I would say never-ending relationship between creativity and cinema.
Exactly. And as long as Alessandro Michele is in Gucci, the cinema will be inside fashion, believe me. In the last collection, the Hollywood Love Parade, I count almost 20 Hollywood movie quotes inside the garments.
Wow. Wow.
And so it's like a little vocabulary of the Hollywood cinema inside.
Perfect. Perfect. Everybody, I want to thank everybody. I want to apologize for not getting to the questions, but this has just been so fascinating, so wonderful. Grazie mille to both of you. David and I have such fond memories of Firenze, and every time we would go to Italy, it enveloped us. So we are very, very thankful to feel part of Italy through you guys being here. So grazie. Thank you so much for everybody. Anything you want to say?
That's it.
Okay. Any
Grazie,
last
Michele
thoughts?
and David. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Grazie,
Thank
Polimoda.
you.